Psychological tricks to make any woman like you. Have you ever wondered how ancient wisdom can impact modern relationships? There's a philosophy that's been around since the 3rd century BC, a philosophy known as Stoicism. Born in the cradle of Western philosophy, ancient Greece, Stoicism was founded by Zeno of Citium, a merchant who turned to philosophy after a shipwreck. Stoicism, at its core, is a philosophy of life that maximizes positive emotions and reduces negative ones. It teaches us to focus on what's within our control and to accept what isn't, leading to a life of tranquility and satisfaction. Now, you might be wondering, what does a philosophy that's over 2,000 years old have to do with love and relationships in the 21st century? Well, quite a bit actually. You see, Stoicism is all about emotional resilience and self-control, two attributes that are essential in maintaining healthy relationships. Stoicism teaches us to manage our emotions, to not be swept away by them. It's not about suppressing our feelings, but rather understanding them, managing them, and not letting them control us. It's about realizing that we have the power over our reactions and responses, and not the external events or people. Stoicism, in essence, is about achieving inner peace, and we all know how important peace is in a relationship. It's about understanding that our happiness is not dependent on our partner, but on our own perceptions and reactions. It's also about acceptance, accepting our partner for who they are, accepting the circumstances of our relationship, and accepting that there are things beyond our control. This acceptance leads to less friction, less disappointment, and more harmony. Stoicism encourages us to live in the present moment, to not dwell on the past or worry about the future. This in turn allows us to fully enjoy and appreciate our relationships, as we're not constantly distracted by what was or what could be. Now that we have a basic understanding of Stoicism, let's see how its teachings can be applied to relationships. How often do we let our emotions dictate our actions in relationships? It's a thought-provoking question, isn't it? Stoic philosophy presents a unique perspective on this topic. Stoics believe in exercising control over their emotions, rather than allowing them to take the driver's seat. Think about the last time you had an argument or disagreement in your relationship. Often, these situations are fueled by unchecked emotions. Anger, frustration, and resentment can quickly escalate and cloud our judgment. But what if we could manage these emotions more effectively? What if we could respond rather than react? This is where the teachings of Stoicism come into play. Stoics strive to maintain emotional equilibrium. They understand the nature of emotions, acknowledging them, but not allowing them to dictate their actions. This isn't about suppressing emotions, but rather understanding them and choosing a rational response over an impulsive reaction. For instance, consider a common scenario: a disagreement with a loved one. A non-Stoic might react with anger, potentially causing further conflict. A Stoic, on the other hand, would acknowledge the anger, but choose to respond with patience and understanding, thereby diffusing the situation. This Stoic approach to emotional control is not about being emotionless. Quite the contrary, it is about being aware of our emotions and making conscious choices about how we respond to them. It's about understanding that we have the power to control our reactions, and in doing so, we can improve our interactions in relationships. Stoicism teaches us that our emotions are not the enemy. They are simply part of the human experience. It's how we handle these emotions that truly matters. By practicing emotional control, we can navigate disagreements and conflicts more effectively. We can foster better understanding, reduce unnecessary conflict, and ultimately build stronger, healthier relationships. By mastering our emotions, we can bring harmony and understanding into our relationships. So the next time you find yourself in an emotionally charged situation, remember the Stoic philosophy: respond, don't react. It's a small shift in mindset that can make a world of difference. What if we told you that acceptance, a key Stoic principle, can revolutionize your relationships? As we delve into the heart of Stoicism, we stumble upon one of its core tenets: acceptance. Acceptance, in the Stoic sense, is not about passive resignation or tolerating the intolerable. It's about understanding the nature of things acknowledging their reality, and choosing to navigate through them with wisdom and serenity. Now imagine applying this principle to your relationships. Consider a disagreement or an argument with someone close to you. Often these conflicts arise from our inability to accept the other person's perspective, their choices, or their inherent nature. But what if, instead of resisting, we learn to accept? Acceptance in relationships doesn't mean you have to agree with everything your partner says or does. It's about recognizing their individuality, understanding their viewpoint, and respecting their choices. It's about embracing the differences instead of letting them become points of contention. Think about it. When we accept, we let go of the need to control or change the other person. We stop imposing our expectations and start appreciating them for who they are. This acceptance breeds understanding, and understanding fosters a deeper connection. But how do we practice acceptance? It's simple. Begin by observing. Observe your reactions, your emotions, and your thoughts without judgment. Notice when you're resisting and ask yourself why. Then, try to see things from the other person's perspective. Understand their motivations, their fears, and their desires. This shift in perspective can be profoundly transformative. Remember, acceptance is not a one-time act. It's a continuous process of self-awareness and understanding. It's a journey of growth, both for you and your relationships. In the grand scheme of things, acceptance allows us to navigate the ebbs and flows of our relationships with equanimity. It helps us to remain steady amidst the storms, choosing understanding over conflict, love over resentment. So the next time you find yourself at odds with someone, remember the Stoic principle of acceptance. Embrace the differences, understand the other, and let love flourish. Through acceptance, we can cultivate healthier, more fulfilling relationships. Do you hold on to things that cause you pain in your relationships? This is a question that Stoicism, the ancient Greek philosophy, asks us to ponder. Stoicism, at its core, is about understanding and accepting the natural order of things. It teaches us to appreciate the present moment, to accept what we cannot change, and to let go of what no longer serves us. This philosophy can be particularly beneficial in our relationships, where often we struggle to let go of past transgressions, grudges, or unrealistic expectations. Consider, for instance, the grudges we often bear. They serve no purpose but to weigh us down, to keep us anchored in a past that we cannot change. Stoicism teaches us to release these grudges, to let go of the resentment that tethers us to past hurt. Instead of nursing old wounds, we should focus on the present, appreciating the here and now. Similarly, we are often haunted by past mistakes in our relationships. We replay these errors over and over in our minds, punishing ourselves for what we perceive as failures. But Stoicism advises us otherwise. It encourages us to see these mistakes as opportunities for growth, to learn from them and move forward. It reminds us that the past is immutable, and dwelling on it only robs us of the joy of the present. Lastly, let's talk about unrealistic expectations. We often impose these on our partners, expecting them to be perfect, to always meet our needs. But Stoicism cautions us against this. It encourages us to accept our partners as they are, flawed and human, just like us. It reminds us that we cannot control others, only our reactions to them. And so, we should let go of these expectations, embracing our partners for who they truly are. So you see, Stoicism and the art of letting go are intrinsically intertwined. They teach us to live in the moment, to accept what we cannot change, and to release what no longer serves us. When we learn to let go, we open the door to peace and contentment in our relationships. Now that we understand how Stoicism can influence our relationships, how can we apply these teachings in our daily lives? Let's dive into some practical tips and exercises that can help you integrate Stoic principles into your relationships. Firstly, practice daily reflection. At the end of each day, ponder on your interactions. Did you respond to conflict with patience and understanding, or did you react out of anger and frustration? Regular introspection will help you identify areas for improvement. Secondly, cultivate empathy. Remember, we all carry our own burdens, and it's not always easy to see what others are going through. Try to view situations from the other person's perspective. This will lead to greater understanding and compassion, strengthening your relationships. Next, practice acceptance. There are things in life and in people that we cannot change. Instead of resisting these realities, accept them. This doesn't mean you have to agree or be passive, but rather, you understand that some things are beyond your control. By doing so, you free yourself from unnecessary stress and conflict. Fourthly, let go of the need to be right all the time. In the grand scheme of things, being right isn't as important as being kind. When disagreements arise, remember that maintaining harmony in your relationships is more important than winning an argument. Lastly, respond instead of react. When faced with challenging situations, take a moment to pause and collect your thoughts. Responding thoughtfully instead of reacting impulsively can prevent misunderstandings and unnecessary conflicts. Regular practice of these Stoic principles will lead to significant improvements in your relationship dynamics. You'll find that you're more patient, understanding, and compassionate. You'll be better equipped to handle conflict and stress, and you'll forge stronger, more meaningful relationships. Indeed, applying Stoicism in your relationships is a journey, not a destination. It's about continuous growth and learning, about becoming a better person each day. Remember, Stoicism is not just a philosophy, but a way of life. Embrace its teachings and watch your relationships transform.